Hello, listeners. My name is Austin Hyder, and I created this podcast to inform everyone, especially parents, students, school faculty, and anyone with any relations with any type of school, about the negative impacts of online schooling in the era of COVID-19. I am a freshman at the University of Kentucky, so I am personally experiencing these impacts on a daily basis. I have noticed a huge difference in how well I understand the content of my in-person classes and the content of my online classes. I retain information in my in-person classes much better than online classes because I'm focused on the professor. During online classes, it is way too easy to just pick up my phone for just a second and soon notice that 10 or 12 minutes have passed. In a Washington Post interview, Megan Leahy interviews a parent with an 8-year-old daughter. After the parent lays out her opening statement, Leahy describes that the average attention span for an 8-year-old is approximately 16 to 40 minutes. Therefore, it's typical that she cannot pay attention for multiple lessons. She also emphatically states that it is not developmentally appropriate for an 8-year-old to sit in front of a computer all day. Period. With in-person school, not as much attention is needed due to kids not staring at a screen all day. These lower attention spans have contributed to poor performance in class, along with the lowest standardized test scores in years. This decreased performance in the classroom can be seen across all grade levels, from elementary-aged kids to college students like myself. A New York Times interview about the loss of in-person school highlights Pedro Noguera, a former public school teacher and sociologist. He states that, on average, when children miss school, that has a negative impact on their performance. It's most noticeable in the early grades with respect to reading, and in the older grades in math. Some kids will even have to repeat a year of school since they didn't learn enough to further their education this past year. On a more serious note, depression and suicide rates among school-aged kids have skyrocketed since COVID restrictions shut down schools. Everyone needs some degree of social interaction, especially young kids. They are not getting that necessary interaction while stuck at home when they could be safely interacting in school. According to Deborah Weisbrot, a child and adolescent psychiatry specialist, more than 7 million children in the United States have a mental health disorder. Less than half of those diagnosed actually receive treatment, and of those who do receive treatment, over 75% receive this treatment at schools. It is clear that even before COVID restrictions locked down schools, mental health was not handled well at all. But with schools shut down, it is an even greater problem since over 75% receive treatment from school. It is difficult to receive treatment from an institution that is not open. Taking all this into account, my argument is that all schools of all levels should go back to fully in-person classes in the face of COVID-19, because online school decreases kids' attention spans, halts performance in classes, and has a negative impact on mental health. Schools are among the safest places in the nation when it comes to COVID, because masks are required and all guidelines are strictly followed. Kids would get that much-needed social interaction while also being exposed to material by an instructor face-to-face instead of an ineffective screen. And now I'd like to bring in my sister, Renee Hyder, a sophomore at Highlands High School, to see her views on the subject. Hi Renee, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. If it's all right, I'll just ask you a few questions here about your experience with COVID in school.
Okay.
So first, did you notice a difference in your attention span during online school?
Yeah, I say I would over when we had to do online school, it was just not the easiest to focus in class. because, I mean, it's definitely a different setting because you're online, obviously, and just the attention that it requires, I guess, isn't the same. So.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think that impacted your performance in school? And if not, or if so, what are some other factors that might have impacted your performance?
Yes, definitely my performance was impact. I think it was just that it seemed like not as much was required of you. Like, it's like in the beginning, it was um like you didn't know what was going on, kind of, so you had to like do as much as you could. But like when the next school year started, it was kind of more laid back, so it was like a rough transition going from that and then like just like going all out once we like got back to in person, I guess.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Thank you for that. That's interesting. All right. Being one of the biggest introverts I know, uh, to what extent did you miss the social interaction while you were in online school?
Well, I yes, I am a very big introvert, and while it was nice just sitting at home all day, I really did miss seeing my teachers and learning that way. I just, I mean, I guess I didn't really. I felt like I didn't learn as much online school, I guess, and I do. I did miss seeing my friends, so that was nice seeing everyone.
Definitely. I felt the same way in this year. And do you think that lack of social interaction impacted your mental health?
Um, I mean, a little, I guess. I mean, I was just so used to not seeing anyone. So, like, when we went back to school, it was, like, so draining going and seeing so many people. But not, I mean, I know, like, a lot of other people, like, suffered a lot more. So, I mean, personally, it wasn't that bad for me. So,
But you saw it in your peers a lot
yes,
more.
definitely.
All right, well, I think that's it. Thank you for joining in, Renee.
You're welcome.
There are a multitude of ideas to pick apart from that conversation with my sister, but they all clearly fell in line with my line of reasoning. From my sister's personal experience with online school, kids' attention spans are decreasing, performance in classes is going downhill, and mental health is being compromised. The main solution to fix these problems is obviously for all schools to go back to fully in-person classes. But since that is what I am arguing for, I will outline how to achieve that goal. Some people are arguing that half of the kids at a school should only go to in-person classes 2 days a week, and the other half go on another 2 days. This is ineffective because all the kids are only getting 2 good days of education a week. The other 3 days, they just stare at a Zoom screen, which is the entire problem I am trying to bring attention to. The reason people say this is that there isn't enough room at some schools to accommodate social distancing. However, the CDC now says 3 feet is the new social distancing metric instead of 6 feet, which gives schools double the amount of room to work with. However, that most likely won't work for every school in the nation, so the further way to carry out the solution would be to vaccinate the entire school faculty, teachers, and students. While some people have concerns with the COVID vaccine, the negative impacts from online schools should be more concerning, at least for the parents of the students. If everyone in the school system is vaccinated, all schools would be able to go back to fully in-person classes, without any worries for too little space to accommodate social distancing. At this point, I'd like to ask you for a favor. Put yourself into the position of a parent of a student who has endured the past year of online school. If you are a parent, well, this should be pretty easy. Now, as that parent, take into account all of the negative impacts of online school that I outlined. Poor attention spans, academic performance, and mental health. Would you trade that for the extremely low possibility of potential side effects from the vaccine, while keeping your kids safe from all those negative impacts, as well as the deadliest pandemic that we have ever experienced in our lifetime? To quote Jules from Pulp Fiction, I thought so. Thanks for listening and for your continued thoughts on this incredibly important matter.